Hey, we're two fat guys.
And we didn't just watch a movie.
It's true. It's true. We did very recently watch like 40 movies.
Yeah, you might have heard of a little thing we did called Marvel Madness.
Yeah, and this is a little wrap-up video we have. We had a lot of different things we were talking about, sort of. We came down like there's a lot of different lists, really. Like
yeah, and there's a lot of overarching things that we'd seen throughout a lot of these movies that we just wanted to talk a little about.
Sort of in retrospect, to come down, because it'd be right just to stop.
Yeah, be like, all right, yeah, Avengers was great, boom.
We need to come down at the end of Marvel Madness and then look up at DC Dimension and lose our minds.
That's coming up.
That's coming up dangerously soon. But anyways, Marvel Madness is today. First of which, the first thing we notice, I think, in the series, like what makes it a Marvel movie, is like motorcycles.
95% of movies.
Like, we're not exaggerating. Like, I would put good money. 95% is probably a pretty close number. Does that mean what, two movies maybe?
Yeah. Like I think Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck might have a motorcycle in it. I'm sure there's a biker gang.
Yeah, I was like, but I think it was like he might have like ridden a bicycle or something. It was close though. Yeah, a lot of motorcycles.
Yeah, so some of our favorite motorcycles, we're going to work up to the best one, so let's start with some other ones. Almost motorcycles I liked. We had Spider-Man scooter.
Spider-Man was on scooter.
From Spider-Man 2. We get crushed by the burglars as they run away. He does the backflip off. And he's dragging it sadly home after he misses Mary Jane's play. And it's appropriate. Spider-Man couldn't ride a Harley Davidson down the road.
Though in the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show, S.H.I.E.L.D. gives him a Spidey cycle.
Oh, fucking course they do. Oh, man.
And it was great, because he was like, why would I fucking Spider-Man, why would I need to ride a motorcycle? And then Nick Fury's like, here's how fast it takes you to get from one end of the city to the other. Here's how fast you can go if you're doing a motorcycle. And that way you're not like exerting yourself the entire time across the city. And he's like, oh, okay, maybe I'll try the Spidey cycle.
Another almost motorcycle is the recently seen Men in Black 3.
Men in Black 3
unicycles, and we mean that it's the Big Wheel, which is a Spider-Man villain, by the way, which essentially is this dude who rides around in a big wheel. I wish I had made that up. Steve will know. But yeah, like we couldn't unsee the South Park vehicles that Mr. Garrison made with all the penises everywhere.
Yeah, but motorcycles, Marvel characters had to be done.
It needed. So Men in Black 3 joined the thing. I really enjoyed like a serious motorcycle moment was the 2011 Captain America movie.
Yeah.
In the big last storm of the base. He's like,
why don't we go to the front door?
It's just like fucking him riding this World War II era motorcycle up to the front gate of goddamn
Nazi. Put my shield here on the front and kind of duck, I guess.
Goddamn Nazi paradise up in there, and he's just riding it in like fuck it, and then he loads it with explosives and lets it go blow up the door. Great moment. The Avengers had a really good one. The big climactic moment, which is everyone else is like, oh man, shit's about to start happening. We're like, oh man, it's finally a Marvel movie. There's the motorcycle.
Yep.
It's a big last fight. Bruce Banner, who up to that point had been missing.
Yep, and rides up in a crappy little motorcycle moped,
which we're convinced he just built out of like car parts from abandoned vehicles people left behind.
Yep.
It's like, well, these are all broken down. I can fashion this together and.
Gotta get to New York somehow.
That's true. And finally, surprisingly, the best motorcycle is 1970s Captain America.
In like a half-serious way.
In a half-serious way. Because it's kind of ridiculous, but I mean, let's look at it. It launches out of his,
Captain America rape van.
Yeah. A lot of rape done in that van. It has silent mode.
Yeah, which just makes it a little quieter. It turns on the muffler, I guess. Attaches the muffler real quick.
Does it shoot rockets? Is that
probably not? It flies.
It flies.
That's right. Hang glider attachment.
Is there a turbo boost? I think there were 4 buttons, and he never used any of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of buttons. He went over some conveniently placed ramps.
Yeah, it was a particularly planned, themed vehicle that he could launch out in, and I gotta respect it. He owned it. He owned it.
Yeah.
He was the first one on the motorcycle?
To the point where the Captain America mask and cowl was a motorcycle helmet.
Yeah.
It was just straight up a motorcycle helmet with the A and the wings painted on.
Yeah, and it's really solid. And we started it started the trend
Yeah.
It was the first movie. It was the second entry we watched, and it had a motorcycle pretty early on.
Yeah, and then we kept getting other things like X-Men, Wolverine's got his motorcycle, Ghost Riders obviously has a motorcycle, but
I don't know.
Bike.
I remember Donald
Pink,
but that's about it.
Pink bike.
Right. Let's talk about the titles a bit. Let's start with title cards. Right?
Yeah,
we took pictures of all the title cards,
on our Twitter.
with the exception of the ones in theater. We didn't do any of the in theater ones.
I was not comfortable. I did not want to get kicked out of the theater.
That's true. Cause like, no, we're taking pictures.
Of this marathon.
Because they're not going to believe you. Like, all right, you're videotaping. Like, no, we did this thing where we watched every Marvel movie in the last 3 weeks. That's made up. No, we have these reaction videos. These are fake.
Yeah, like I didn't want to have them catch me during Captain America and then like, sorry, you're out of here. You can't watch Avengers. Like, what? Fuck, damn it.
Oh man, the worst kind of fate.
Yeah.
So understandable why we did.
So we don't have pictures of those, but I might grab some screen grabs.
We do have just a list of some of the favorite ones because what really hurt us when we started off. It seems like a lot of the films just had plain text on a black color.
Yeah, it started with the Captain America, which was a
Captain America wasn't bad.
It was the logo from the comics.
Yeah. Very colorful.
And that was the first one we were like, oh, that was not a bad time. We should run that back, pause it, let's take a picture, and we'll take a picture of each one. That'll be kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And then moving forward from that, a lot of it was just
very disappointing.
Really boring stuff.
Very disappointing. I'm a big fan of good opening titles.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I can understand some of them wanting to be like, not pew pew in your face title card, but
isn't they web slinging?
Yeah. But then yeah, like I like really good graphic design, like setting the tone for the movie. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good things you can do with a solid title card, and some of them we really liked.
Yeah, so we have a list of some of our favorite ones. Well, we mentioned the 70s Captain America, surprisingly. Had a really good one. X-Men First Class we liked.
Yeah, it was the coin, which was an important plot point. Comes from kind of the prologue and then spins over and it's got the big X First Class logo on it, which I really enjoyed. Even when I saw that for the first time, I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And then taking a picture of it again, I was like, after having watched the marathon, I was like, yeah, you know what, this one holds up as far as title cards go.
Alright.
What else we have? We had
Men in Black.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if this was a lot of nostalgia. Especially that the first one came out 15 years ago. I really like the design of the Men in Black titles, like the really long, thin letters, mm-hmm. And how they were consistent over all 3 movies. I don't know what, but like those are just very distinct and will always be associated with Men in Black to me.
That's true. I feel like whenever I see other things do that, because it's a fairly common sort of the skinny hand-drawn letters.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they're using the Men in Black thing, which probably isn't fair. It probably was.
Yeah, Men in Black was maybe something else.
Hackneyed. They're like, oh, it's Thanos, Hands of Fate. We stole it from that, which no one's actually watched. But yeah, we had a hard time separating from the nostalgia. So judge yourselves. But we really enjoyed that. That was one of the things where the simple, like, plain white text worked pretty well, because they normally tossed over stars after a pretty good action sequence. It was never just like, boom, here's the thing. Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck had a solid one.
Howard the Duck was...
Real solid.
Well, it was produced by George Lucas, so they had rights to a lot of, like, Raiders of the Lost Ark, all the Indiana Jones and all those classic things, and all his movies from that time were all, that's back when they did commissioned posters. By actual artists, so they had a lot of the really cool graphic design, like titles.
Yeah, it had like big 3D block letters. Mm-hmm. It looked great. I mean, it was very 80s.
Yeah, it was super 80s. So
but like the good parts of the 80s.
Not Rock of Ages. Everything that's not Rock of Ages was in this.
Also, not the rest of Howard the Duck.
We've done the video on that. I'm not gonna spend my whole life
here defending
Howard the Duck. Doctor Strange from the 70s had a good title card.
Not only that, but the logo from that like Doctor Strange logo appeared fucking everywhere.
Like it was annoying. It became the drinking game we joked.
Which you'd be dead.
you would die.
You could be drinking shots of water and be dead by the end of that.
Your stomach's full. You have to stop.
Yeah, like you'd get a rupture. So just how much you drank during that 90 minutes.
But they have a cool sort of arcane symbol, and then Doctor Strange written over
in the most 70s
the most
style
70s
I've ever seen.
So you know what? It's not plain text. They had a symbol with it. It does sort of things title cards should do.
And I wish I would have stopped watching it after that, because I was on board for a little bit.
I wish we watched a little bit more just to get some Jessica Walters. Like, oh man, Jessica Walters was young at some point. But I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
Although we should talk about it again just to piss off Clayton.
That's true.
No, Clayton. All the new movies, from the Marvel Studios.
Oh yeah.
We really enjoyed all of those.
For a lot of this stuff, it's hard to include those with the rest of Marvel Madness just because
they're
of how
such higher caliber.
Yeah, it's apples and oranges at some point. I think because they really set the bar high for comic book movies and Marvel movies especially.
Yeah, but
great.
Just ripping on some of them. I love the Iron Man. I love the metal, like the anvil clang.
Yeah.
As it just sort of snaps. It's like, here's Iron Man. Okay, back into the movie. Some really good ones. Particularly, we like the Avengers because they do sort of almost a title drop. Because Nick Fury's on the phone and Coulson's like, "What are we gonna do?" And then they just cut to like the Avengers. Like, fucking, we're gonna get the Avengers. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. It's
sort of a half spin.
Then you get that great Avengers theme right there.
Yeah. Digga-dun.
Oh man! I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna see that movie.
My favorite title card, though, and I think you may agree, is Captain America: The First Avenger. Which
after it has
a couple things going for it. First off, it's just good graphic design. It's just the nice big Captain America: The First Avenger small underneath it. But it comes at the end. There is no beginning of the movie title card. You watch this film, it's like, hey, here's what you just watched. It never has that moment to pull you out of the story. It just keeps going with the story. Plus, the end credits are actually really good in that movie. It's a lot of sort of war art. War propaganda art.
Awesome.
So then, at the very end of it, it's just on like an old flag that's sort of like battle worn and like it feels textured and just printed around one of the white stripes as Captain America: The First Avenger. And I'm just like, fucking yeah, let's wake some giants to nap in America and let's do this. So it's a great title card.
After because I missed that in the
day of.
In the day of, I was like, I'm gonna go get concessions.
Which is probably a good idea, but I really love it. I have a hard time pulling myself away from good end credits. Clayton and I are big fans.
I probably wouldn't have if I forgot how good the actual end credits were. I knew that after the credit scene was
something you don't need to
something that was going to be seen in Avengers. And it was then like the trailer for Avengers. So I'm like, I'm
actually really enjoyed that. I like the answer, like, all right, that's what I'm watching. Amazing.
Yeah, but I needed water.
You were lying for me in concessions. I just walked up and said, "Hey, Sam." Other titles, we're going to talk about title drops.
Yeah,
which title drops work a little differently with superhero movies, just because a high majority of them are just named after the superhero.
Yeah.
So like, hey, are you going to say this main character's name? Yes, that's a title drop. So we have a few we wanted to talk about. The first three are actually just, two are definitely awful. One is so awful it becomes amazing again. The first is the original, the 94 Fantastic Four.
1994 unreleased Fantastic Four.
Before they have powers, before they're wearing costumes like their
before
grandma.
They go into space.
Yeah, they're like walking out the door like, oh, let's go to the university to talk about space. Their grandma goes,
look at you. The Fantastic Four.
What? Who?
Like, you... Do we have mentioned, because we should talk about it now, the new Fantastic Four movie did it much better. Like, you have them get their powers and be on news and have news people give you the name.
Yeah, which sort of works diegetically. They do the same thing with Spider-Man we want to talk about, because Spider-Man and all, like, these superheroes, like, the newspapers write about them constantly, so they have to come up with something. They have the great Doc Ock moment in Spider-Man 2.
Guy named Otto Octavius winds up with 8 limbs. What are the odds?
Spider-Man makes his own name because he's this nerd in high school.
Yeah.
If you're a nerd in high school and you're designing your own costume, you're going to give yourself a name.
Yeah.
And the Human Spider is not a very good name.
Yeah.
So Bruce Campbell had to improvise.
What's your name, kid?
The Human Spider.
The Human Spider, that's it? That's the best you got?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
The sum of $3,000 will be paid to the Amazing Spider-Man!
Yeah, so they come very diegetically, where this is just, there's no reason to be calling them anything other than the four of you, and here are your names. So that was particularly awful. Man-Thing. And the line, we've said it before, we'll say it again.
That's a man. Oh yeah, that's a man, all right, huh? It's the Man-Thing, man!
Just the worst. And it doesn't even look like a Man-Thing. Like, I could look at Man-Thing forever and
not see any man in it.
Yeah, and just
thing.
I could just keep listing names, and Man-Thing would be the last thing I would come up with.
Really, the Thing is more of a Man-Thing.
Yeah.
Than Man-Thing.
Speaking of Thing, though, that's the one that comes back around, because in the Thing TV show, that amazing catchphrase, Thing Ring, do your thing, which is technically a title drop, but we just wanted to talk about it again. Just watch an episode. Go to YouTube, I think they're up there. Just go to YouTube or something. Find the 70s Thing cartoon
it has
show.
that great, like,
Scooby-Doo, Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, like, just all that kind of great cartoon camp.
Yeah.
But then with this skinny dude who becomes the Thing with the power of his Thing Ring, which, alright, that's fine.
Two slightly different ones we want to talk about, which is similar. These are good ones. They sort of come diegetically, like the Spider-Man and Fantastic Four was. First Class you want to talk about, which they don't actually title drop X-Men First Class, because that would make no sense.
Yeah, it's more of
this must be your X-Men First Class. Like,
it's more the naming of the group. Like,
naming.
Because in comics, those are just what they're called, and no one ever really questions them.
In a comics world where there's all these other superheroes, no one's going to ask, well, why do you call your superpowered friends a team name? Like, why? Because that's what you fucking do. Because blue is the sky. That's why.
And so, with movies, you're kind of reaching out to a different audience, so you have to come up with a reason, a better reason, because they're much more grounded usually.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the way they did it in X-Men First Class.
One day the government is going to realize how lucky they were to have Professor X on their side.
We're still on the government side, Moira. Still G-Men, just without the G.
No. You're your own team now. It's better. You're X-Men.
Yeah. Yes, I like the sound of that.
I really liked that. It's a little campy, but
it came very naturally, because there wasn't,
because they did just work for the government. They were G-Men.
Yeah, and it wasn't the conversation. It's not like they awkwardly brought up G-Men. It just sort of came out normally.
Yeah, like when they said we're just G-Men, like it didn't even.
You weren't like, wait a step, the drop, nice.
Yeah.
I also really like Captain America's naming, because it started as just World War II propaganda, and it was revealed with the amazing song, because that's the first time we believe. We haven't fact-checked this because we're lazy as shit, and we watched enough Marvel movies. Why don't you do part of the work, fucking YouTubers? And we're pretty sure the first time it said is in the song Star Spangled Man with a Plan.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. And like, yeah, you know what? If I were designing World War II propaganda, which is exactly what Captain America the comic was, I would name a dude Captain America, and I'd make him wear an American flag and punch Hitler. And that's exactly what they do. And it's perfect. I never once questioned why he's Captain America.
Yeah, it was stellar. So what do we got next?
We did title drops. Too. Let's do a little Stan Lee cameos. Those are we're trying to get all the things that are in all the movies. Stan Lee cameos. There are a lot of them. We're not going to talk about all of them.
Yeah, because we took pictures of each one.
Did the pictures,
except for the ones from the new ones.
So we wanted to talk about some
standouts.
Some standouts, yeah. Let's do the Fantastic Four too, just because
that was my favorite. Because it was the one where he was actually playing Stan Lee.
Invitation, sir.
I should be on that list.
Name?
Stan Lee.
Yeah. Nice try, buddy.
No, really. I'm Stan Lee.
It's not the funniest joke, but
you just it hit home. They pitched it right there.
They did, and it's not about the joke, but that is the exact kind of joke that Stan Lee would write.
That is true.
Like, having read a lot of the early 60s Fantastic Four was written by Stan Lee, like that, I'm pretty sure he wrote his own cameo there. Like, not actually, but
it did remind me of the Spider-Man 90s cartoon show when they did the multiple dimension Spider-Mans, and then eventually Amazing Spider-Man goes to our universe and meets Stan Lee and takes him web swinging around the city, and Stan Lee's like, Excelsior, Spider-Man, this is the best.
Yeah, like so it just had this great moment where it's like, oh, a great like kind of wink and a nod that hey, this is Stan Lee, and yeah, like I'm a sucker for that just kind of throwaway joke. Kind of bit. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. But
I also want to mention, I think we gotta mention the first Fantastic Four movie from the 2000s, because that is the one and only time that Stan Lee has played a character, an actual character from the comics. The mailman, whose name escapes me right now. Willie, Willie the mailman from the Baxter Building is a character in the comics, and he does pretty much what he does in the movie. Every once in a while he's passing through and like, oh, hey,
mail.
Hey, Reed.
Welcome back to the Baxter, Dr. Richards. I've got the usual for you. Good to have you back, sir.
Thanks, Willie.
Just one little scene. I like that he actually had to play some from the comics. So that bears repeating. The Avengers one, you really liked.
I did.
You thought it was a solid joke. I did not enjoy it, just there are other ones I enjoyed.
Yeah, the one where he doesn't believe that they're superheroes, he thinks it's a hoax.
Yeah, which is just in the middle of the...
Yeah, and again, that's just it's funny because it's Stan Lee.
Stan Lee not believing in superheroes, yeah. My two favorite, and they're neck and neck with me because they came out right by each other, is from Thor and Captain America, because I think they are the funniest jokes that I laugh the hardest at. And I'm a sucker for good jokes.
Yeah, it's like, because unlike mine were predicated on the fact that it had to be Stan Lee.
Yeah, mine are like, I would laugh at these jokes if anyone said them, and the fact that they had Stan Lee do these makes me happy. So in the Thor one, they're trying to pull the hammer out, so they hook up the truck, and the dude, like, his bed rips off the truck so they have a chain to the hammer. And Stan Lee sticks his out and goes, "Did it work?" And just great delivery, super funny. I love seeing Stan Lee in like a random old trucker outfit. And in Captain America, it's when they're bringing him out for propaganda, but Captain America's now actually fighting in the war. So like some other random bureaucrat dude comes out, whispers into the senator's ear. Stan Lee goes,
I thought he'd be taller.
Like just solid jokes, solid level of comedy that you get in these movies, and delivered given to Stan Lee. They didn't just say, okay, well, what are we going to have Stan Lee do? Let's have him pull him out of the way of some rubble like all the Spider-Man ones are.
Yeah.
Like, oh, get out of the way of this rubble. It's an actually written joke, like, okay, here's this funny joke. It almost seems like they had that bit, and they were like, oh, we could have Stan Lee do this.
Yeah.
Like, I had no question that those scenes would have played in the movie without him. Whereas someone getting rejected from the wedding, they'd be like, what? That's a dick move.
It was clearly written for Stan Lee.
Alright, let's do some more stuff that are across all movies. Let's do our best action scenes. We have a list of some of the best action.
Do we want to do that one before?
I think we're gonna do that one with that, and because they're technically action scenes in all these, and then we'll pair those together.
A lot of pre-planning here. So we've done.
And it's
careful planning.
And I intentionally made my notes as like tiny and crammed together, so that way Sam can't read them, and I get to choose what happens now. I've already said best action scenes.
Yes, yeah, might as well.
So keep you in suspense. What did Sam point to? You'll never know. The best action scenes. We had quite a few written down. We're going to end on that. So let's start at the front. Avengers. It was hard to do the best action list after seeing the Avengers, because the last 30 minutes is probably some of the best action.
And also the middle 30 minutes. And the beginning 30 minutes.
Yeah. Like the three big action sequences, it sets the bar too high.
Yeah, they're great. They're character driven.
They're character driven. There are multiple superheroes.
They're watchable, which I can't believe I'm having to say this for an action movie, but like, hey, Michael Bay, their action scenes were watchable. I could figure out what's going on. I could figure out why the characters were doing what they were doing.
Yeah, their CG budget didn't get a little too high, so they only see part of a transformer. Like, I was always able to not get disoriented and see what was happening. They didn't reuse footage from the island, so Michael Bay, balls in your court. So it's just... So bear in mind, we say this. We could go on and on and on about Avengers, which we did, I believe, to the tune of like 40 minutes. But the action scenes in that are just well done. They're well paced. They break it up with dialogue and small character moments at good times, and they have shit explode at a good amount of times.
Yeah, things blow up good.
So moving on from that, we have two from two different Punisher films. And I got to start with Dolph Lundgren, the action star, Dolph Lundgren. And what I wrote down is the Dojo of Death. And the Punisher is like getting off an elevator, it steps in a doorway, and it's just a dojo full of ninjas.
full of ninjas, just practicing.
Like fire code is broken by the number of ninjas in this room, and they're not even hidden, so you can see them all.
Well, we saw what the ones we saw. There's probably twice that number there.
Hiding behind them. Yeah, very good. And does he just open fire on them?
Yeah, he's just saying they all stop, and then you think there's going to be this big fist fight like there would be in any other movie, probably.
Yeah, and it's like Indiana Jones style delivery, just
pulls out a machine gun, guns them all down, and yeah, that's how you fight a ninja.
That's how you fight a room full of ninjas. So I mean, just the balls out in a room full of ninjas. An honorable mention to the Dolph Lundgren kicking someone's hand off. I like, you didn't seem nearly as excited, but I freaked out when Dolph Lundgren kicked someone's hand off. Because that's the sort of thing Blade would do, is kick someone's hand off.
Yeah.
And then the Thomas Jane.
Yeah, when he fought Kevin Nash.
Yeah, Kevin Nash, who we called
Big Popeye.
Russian Popeye. We had a variety of names for him.
There's a picture on the internet that calls him Russian Waldo. It's probably more accurate. He's in a striped red and white shirt. But yeah, just big dude comes to fight Punisher, and this fight goes on for a while.
Yeah, because it cuts to the roommate, the floor mates making a dinner and singing opera.
Yeah, and it's having a good time. As man, those characters were great.
Oh yeah, mine is Russian Waldo.
Yeah,
in Soviet Russia, Waldo finds you.
It's just him choking out Thomas Jane.
Kevin Nash we'll get to see again whenever we get around to whatever marathon includes the Ninja Turtles. He plays Super Shredder in Ninja Turtles too. Fun fact.
Yeah, so great action scene, just funny.
And it's a one-on-one fight. There aren't a whole lot on this list. There's not a whole lot of one-on-one fist fights, which that basically is.
It's big dude against scrappy dude who's losing for most of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Which I really enjoy watching, badasses just get their asses handed to them like that. Like watching Punisher actually have to fight and not just killing everyone. Oh crap, this guy might kill me first. Oops. It was just great. I really enjoyed that scene.
We also enjoyed, next up on the list, we have Blade, which we just put down the Blade movies. There's no one action scene. We cannot stress this. We've said it multiple times, so fuck you, Bladen. But watch the Blade movies if you haven't. Shockingly good. I don't know what it got lost in me. It's really vampire movies were everywhere back then, so it wasn't even I just ignored it because vampire fuzz, but it's great. And
I don't know if maybe the trailers just made it seem super generic or whatever, but man, great.
Fun dialogue. It's not a great work of art.
No, great entertainment.
Great entertainment, yeah. Lots of fun. The action scenes are great action. The comedy scenes, great comedy. The casting's phenomenal in those movies.
Yeah, I mean, it almost seemed like a good, almost a lead-up into kind of the Marvel Studios stuff, where it found that great mix between comedy and action and character development. And I think a lot of that same mix is kind of carried into those movies. I mean, maybe slightly different levels of that, but definitely a step in the right direction compared to some of the other movies on our list.
I certainly think compared to maybe most of the list, I imagine that Kevin Feige. Yeah. Oh, Kevin Feige. I'm gonna call him Feige.
That's I never knew how to pronounce it. Well, according to the Iron Man 2 screenwriter in an interview I just saw, Feige.
Okay, so I imagine Kevin Feige is proud of the Blade movies. He looks like, okay, that's what we want Marvel movies to be. Did they get the rights to Blade back? They got something back recently.
That might have been it.
I think they got 2 movies back recently.
Was it Punisher in that?
It might be Punisher in that. Punisher Warzone came out 2008. I guess that's
good enough for you.
Yeah. So I imagine that's it. Those are good spiritual predecessors to the Marvel Studios films. Action scenes. We have to mention the Ghost Rider bucket excavator.
Man, yeah, when he turned, because we went over before and we got super excited about the fact that every vehicle that Ghost Rider turns into becomes Ghost Rider eyes.
Yeah, we gushed about it before, but if you're gonna watch a Ghost Rider movie, the story's not great, but they don't make you sit through a bunch of bad exposition like Elektra.
It's not even so much that it's not a good story; it's that there's not really one.
You know, it's like, we're protecting this, we're fighting these people. It reminds me a lot of a Jason Statham film. I feel like whenever I see Jason Statham film, like, I get like a minute to 5 minutes of, here's why I'm protecting this little child, or need to electrocute myself to stay alive, or any of these, you have very little time. Here's why I drive people around and shoot things, and then they just do those things for the next hour and a half, and then the movie ends.
Man, and that movie ended great.
So yeah, the bucket excavator, like...
Yeah, that scene where he's just like, you know what? Fuck everyone around me.
You're going to talk about the action scene at the beginning of X2 with Nightcrawler.
One of my favorite action scenes of all time is the Nightcrawler and infiltrating the White House, trying to assassinate the president, and man, yeah, I can't stress how much I love that scene. I think it shows off Nightcrawler really well as an introduction to a character, because that's the first time we see him in the movies.
Yeah, plus there's not been teleporters in the first one, so...
Yeah, and it's... like, watching all the humans go like, oh, there's like 50 of them! Like, yeah, and just, it's shot really well. And especially, yeah, the digital effects for, that was what, 2002 or 3 or 4? Somewhere in there, early 2000s.
Solid, though.
Yeah, really good. So yeah, as far as Marvel action scenes, that is definitely one of the top for me.
And then we also got to put it on the list because we have so many amazing... Because it's hard to remember this because we did all the imprints. So the best action scenes have to be Hit Girl. Anything and everything with Hit Girl is...
from Kick-Ass.
From Kick-Ass. Man, they shouldn't have made a Kick-Ass movie. They should have made a Hit Girl movie because she should be in everything.
Yeah, those are phenomenal. Those would be great scenes even if they weren't done by like an 11-year-old girl.
Yeah, like the actual fighting itself, if you just put like an adult like if Batman did those things, it would still look cool and badass.
To that same soundtrack?
Yep. That's what Batman listens to. He has an iPod in there, he's just...
I'd watch that.
Yep.
But yeah, so yeah, great scenes, and then the fact that it's an 11-year-old girl
takes it up to 11. Because
man,
you have to love it.
Yeah, that movie is also good. Pro tip.
All right, so that was fun. Let's do what we call the dynamic duos.
Right.
Because we're watching this, there are just some great moments where
I don't even think I came up with all of these that I wanted to before we did.
Well, it's impossible. There's too many characters. The reason we added this category is the Thing and the Human Torch.
Yeah.
Just when they were together, with the exception of the '94 Fantastic Four movie, because that should die in a fire. But Michael Chiklis and Chris Evans, just perfect depiction of the characters, perfect lighthearted nature.
And they played off each other so well.
It's true.
One of my favorite moments is the fake out when Ben Grimm is waking up after the space crash, and Chris Evans is in there like the doctors did everything they could.
The point of view shot.
But you're like,
give me the mirror.
Yeah, he's like, what do I look like? Like, I don't know. It's so hideous. I don't think you can handle it. And then it's just him, and it's this great moment.
Oh man,
super well done.
When they switch powers and he throws, dude's like, I throw fireballs now. It's just a perfect, Gilligan and Skipper. It's a perfect dynamic.
Yeah.
And just kudos to them for getting it 100% right. We also like from Avengers the teaming of Banner and Stark because we get to see a whole new side of Tony Stark.
Yeah, for both these guys, it's a chance to interact with someone in a way that they never got to.
Because you really get in this movie, like especially once I saw his reaction to Bruce Banner, I'm like, Tony Stark is just so much smarter than anyone he ever meets that he can't take anyone seriously. He just can't. He logically can't. Like, well, this person isn't smart enough for me to take seriously. Like he gets his true friends and he'll treat them seriously occasionally, but still, even his friends, even Pepper, he still
talks down to a bit,
butting heads with all the time and talking down to. But yeah, he sees him, he shakes hands, he looks him in the eyes like, "You're a man, and we're going to talk about business."
Yeah, like because the first thing he said to him was like, "Hey, I love your work on
this paper is unparalleled."
Yeah, like it's so good. And also,
I'm a huge fan of the way you turn into a giant green rage monster.
Yeah, which when I saw the trailers, I saw that moment, and then you see the moment where he pokes him with the sharp object, and
see, I missed that.
Trying to. I don't know if I think I saw that in one of the. Might have seen that in the Comic-Con trailer.
Okay.
Because they had a different trailer there. But yeah, like these little moments where I thought their relationship was going to be Tony Stark being his typical self, literally just trying to get a rise out of Banner the whole time, kind of making jokes at his expense. But in the context of the movie, it was a lot deeper than that. It was showing Banner that he trusted him.
Yeah, and it also, he's the one that tells him, like, hey, look, the Hulk is there to help you and help the world. And it's going to happen. You're going to get ready, and you're going to help us save the world as the Hulk. And he's the one during the fight, like, hey, is Banner here yet? He's like, no, why would Banner be here?
Like, he fell out of the helicarrier, and he's
like, all right, just let me know when. Just let me know when. And then like, oh, hey, he got here. He's like, I know. Told you. So yeah, just they have a great back and forth. It's a different dynamic. It's not their normal characters at all.
Yeah.
Oh man, from the animated movies we have
again Hulk.
Old Hulk.
Yeah, but not Bruce Banner. Hulk.
Old gray hair Hulk and young Pym. I forget his first name, but
they just call him Pym.
They just call him Pym, essentially the son of Ant-Man and Wasp. Just
whose job in the final fight
is to make Hulk angry.
Ultron killed our parents. He's killing us. And you're scared of him. Ultron's just a stupid robot, and he can beat you up. And he said you were ugly. He said you were a big wimp, and that he was stronger than you.
And just, it's a 7-year-old who can shrink down and fly, talking to the Hulk and trying to get him angry, and it's everything you could want it to be and more. It was probably the best moment from the animated films. Just watching it, like, man, when we saw it, we're like, this guy is all right. This writer's all right. These animated movies do have some merit. I'm glad we watched it, if just for that.
Absolutely, yeah. That made up for kind of those 3 weak ones, which I thought were going to be the ones I loved.
Possibly my favorite dynamic duo, though, is Deadpool and anyone
he's with.
Anytime he talks to anyone at all, it instantly becomes this amazing 2-person act where everyone is the worst straight man in the world, the most put upon straight man, and Deadpool is every kind of alright.
Yeah, and so it was really with those beginnings of X-Men Wolverine, or Origins Wolverine.
Well, the only part he's in the movie is in the beginning, and then
in Hulk versus Wolverine,
yes,
he shows up and interacts with all these members of I forget what do they have an evil villain team name?
Probably Team Evil.
Yeah, but like Omega Red and Lady Deathstrike.
Logan, we missed you. That Weapon X just hasn't been the same without you. Nobody calls me Bub anymore. And Omega Red's a bedwetter.
One day I will tear out your flipping tongue, Wilson.
He's very ashamed. Despite Deadpool's idiocy, Weapon X is indeed pleased to have you back, Logan.
Yeah, and they're all being fairly serious, but then he just, in the anime one, he just keeps throwing one-liners. Like, he doesn't stop.
Yeah,
and they're like, whoa, stop. And it's not just maybe like, okay, that's pretty good comedy. And they're like, oh shit, he just keeps going. He won't stop. And it's...
He can't stop.
It's the perfect depiction of the character. And similar, next one Origins Wolverine.
Great. Stuck in an elevator with 5 guys on a high-protein diet.
Oh, word.
Dreams really do come true.
So just shut it. You're up next.
Thank you, sir. You look really nice today. It's the green. Brings out the seriousness in your eyes.
Oh, my God. Do you ever shut up, pal?
No. Not when I'm awake.
Like, they're riding up to the big thing. Even after he does his badass moment of, like, cutting bullets in half and shit, he's still constantly one-lining. All he says is one-liners, and they're all to people that he spent all his time with, and they're going insane. Wolverine's like, dear God, let me kill him. Can I kill him, please? Let me kill all of him. And just he pulls you in, and they can't get out. And it's Deadpool when anyone is a great 2-person team. Oh man, yeah. And if that's not my favorite Deadpool and anyone, it would have to be Boris the Animal and young Boris the Animal from Men in Black 3. They have one scene where it's just them talking to each other, where future Boris shows up and
so it's just Jermaine Clement
Jermaine talking to
intercut with
Jermaine.
himself, and it's
oh, super funny.
It's just this like super badass alpha villain.
Yeah, it's too big alpha. It's a guy having a pissing contest with his future self.
Yeah, and so like the future him is like, oh, you're so young and you're gonna make all these mistakes, and the young him's like, bullshit. Like
You're
I'm
an
the
old
best.
fool and you made
Look,
the mistakes.
Yeah, you look at all these mistakes you've made. You're missing an arm.
Stop staring at it.
Yeah, I think the one with the they just growl at each other. That's a fantastic moment, I think, for that character.
And Jermaine pitched it so well that it was really like two people arguing back and forth, where at a certain point they have playback and they have a reader to you, but I really like when someone does a good job, because I believe they're in there butting heads. And
yeah, like that's one thing, like as an actor I've kind of always secretly wanted to get the chance to do is play a character opposite myself, but that sounds hard as hell.
yeah, because the effects get in the way and you act as well as you can, but I mean at a certain point you're limited by what the movie makes appear on the screen. But they just did a good job, and he delivered it. He gave them everything they needed, and they put it together in the right order. Yeah. So, yeah, kudos to him. Yeah, once again, reiterate: see Men in Black 3. Don't believe what you heard, and wait for the Jermaine and Jermaine scene. It's great.
I think one more that we didn't have on here, but it's not really a duo exactly, but I think Thomas Jane and his floor mates.
Mr. Cass, we need your help right now because the guy who's after Joan is in her apartment right now.
We want you to have dinner with us.
Yeah, so that I do. It's the good foil.
Yeah, like just
which is what makes a great duo. It's not good to have the same person sitting there high fiving. It's not two bros. Yeah, Thomas Jane has floor mates because Thomas Jane's the Punisher, and he's brooding and angry and killy. And his roommates
Punishers want to do.
Yes. And his roommates are every kind of alright. They're vulnerable and zany and
they just want to make this guy happy. He seems so bummed all the time.
He's like, hey, you're on our floor mate. There's like 4 of us here. We're gonna talk and be friends and come over to dinner with us, and we have Twinkies.
And he's like, but I've got a vengeance.
I have to brood tonight.
I'll bring over chips, I guess.
I didn't shop this week. You should have told me ahead of time. I'm not a last minute type of guy. Which we just added all sorts of. Not all of that's from the movie. Okay, yeah, so that's good call. Good call adding on there.
Yeah.
All right, now we have what we're going to close out with is the funniest jokes.
Yeah, I mean,
because comedy is.
Yeah, we like comedy.
Comedy.
One could say that we're a fan of comedy.
So we're going to start with not the Avengers and then end on the Avengers.
Can't possibly start with the Avengers.
So we're going through just some fun small ones.
So a lot of these are just ones that really stuck out to us. A lot of these movies are funny. There's a lot of jokes.
Yeah, the point of them, especially with the new ones, which is right, is to be a comic book movie, which is just seamless mix of action and comedy. It is both. It's not an action movie. It's not a comedy. It's an action comedy.
Which is why, even for a lot of the newer stuff that's not the Avengers, I had trouble even picking out, like, what's my favorite joke in Iron Man?
Yeah,
like,
so a lot of these, they're not,
things Tony says, I'm sure.
So what we did is when we made this list, was like, okay, if we, like, when we're looking through read this list aloud, if we quote something, and we say, like, this one joke that really stood out to us, we're going to put on this list as the funniest jokes, because there were tons from Avengers, since we had seen it so fresh and 3 times. So here are some of our fun jokes. From X-Men Origins Wolverine, there's the scene with the Blob.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Logan.
Listen, I ain't leaving here till you tell me where Victor is. Come on, bub, for old time's sake, huh?
Did you just call me Blob?
No, but...
Told you not to mention his weight. Why'd you call him Blob?
I didn't call him Blob. I said Bub. God damn it.
Hey.
Like, which I thought was a great kind of way to name that character.
It was
like, name drop that character without...
Yeah, without him actually being named
like, my name is the Blob, and that's my power. Like,
no one wants to go around being the Blob.
Yeah.
But yeah, he delivered it perfect. Both the acting on both sides of that was fantastic. Wolverine's like, the hell? I don't have time for this. But no, I didn't call you the Blob. I say Bub. It's one of the things I call people. I don't know why, but I do. And the Blob was having none of it. None of it. Tell them about your favorite joke from Blade 3.
precious, isn't he?
Well, that depends who you ask, because clearly this dog has a bigger dick than you.
And when the fuck did you see my dick, fuckface?
Like, angry and serious, like no sense of joking, which once again, it's Ryan Reynolds, and it's just every type of all right in that scene. And
and the way Triple H.
What did you see?
Great job.
What?
Like, how did he know that Tom Brady's dick is 3 times the size of mine? Like,
I don't want people looking at my dick when I don't know about it.
Yeah, like, it was just... that moment, that was solid.
For Men in Black 1, we grouped some stuff together, so bear with us as far as the one-liner goes, but the sequence of the testing at Will Smith's recruitment into the
whole thing,
starting with the egg chairs and
no one being on the test,
his pencil breaking and holding it together,
like he poking a hole right in the paper,
and they're just like,
the size.
Fuck it. It's just a grating sound. The Foley guy was like, thank you. He's just, with every piece of metal and cement and anything he can get his hands on that just makes an awful noise, scratching it together.
That, and then followed immediately by the shooting range scene where they're testing all these guys with his alien cardboard and pop up.
Why did you feel little Tiffany had to die?
She's the only one I felt was a threat at the time, sir.
Or do I owe her an apology?
Just that whole sequence where he explains why he didn't kill the other aliens.
It's a good shot, though.
Good shot, though, right?
So good. So perfect.
So that whole scene, I think, was brilliant, and I couldn't pick out any particular joke out of that scene or anything else from that movie when I'm thinking about that.
Now, we couldn't remember all the specific moments, but there's at least twice, possibly more, that Blade uses the phrase "motherfucker." And the first time he's in a hospital when like cops start shooting at him.
Motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind?
And just the exasperated sharpness of it.
That was our first laugh of our first legitimate intentional laugh of the marathon.
That's when okay, this is the first point someone realized they're making a comic book movie where there's going to be jokes. So yeah, watch anytime it says "motherfucker," great.
No, what's behind door number 1? Can't tell you. They'll kill me. Kill you, motherfucker! I'll kill you. I'll just enjoy it better.
But Blade's one of those that all of those movies are where there's just jokes throughout that it's hard for any one to be memorable, but they're very fun.
Yes, from Kick-Ass. It's Rule of 3. The great building of this.
Rule of 3 it got me every time because it's one of those, because oftentimes you'll have a setup and then the punchline. This was like 3 punchlines that got progressively funnier.
I think there are 4 scenes.
I think there might even be up to 5 because I think we might see it earlier.
Effectively, if you count that. So essentially, when they get Hit Girl and when they get Big Daddy and Kick-Ass and they capture them, they take from the safe house.
The big black bodyguard guy.
He's like, I always want a bazooka.
Yeah, just takes his bazooka off the wall because there's guns everywhere.
And he's like carrying Red Mist under one arm and this bazooka over his shoulder, and it's great.
Let him go! Look out of here! Get the fuck out! Hot damn! I always wanted one of these. Seriously gonna take that? Yes. Come on, sweet God.
So then he shows back up at the base, and the boss is like, "Do you have a fucking bazooka?" He's like, "Yeah. Can I keep it?" Sure, I guess.
Puts it on this little display.
As if he's like, you have to feed it and walk it. As long as you're willing to do that, because I'm not going to end up changing this thing's litter. Just with an exasperated, and then after Hickory kills everyone in the base, and like the 3 guys are cowering in the corner, the one steps out, gets a knife in the chest. He goes, "I'm getting my bazooka."
Fuck this shit. I'm getting the bazooka.
Yeah, and walks back into the office and like, "Is everything okay?" He's like, "It's fine." Takes the bazooka, walks back out, and
sir, do it.
Then when he gets out there, he jumps out, "Say hello to my little friend," and that's when the jetpack enters and stops the Chekhov bazooka from going off.
Until then, the very end. When
the very end, when Kick-Ass grabs it, shoots the fucking crime boss in it,
yeah,
flies out on the rocket, and explodes.
Yeah, because I think, and all of that was in the act that I don't think was, when the movie was written, not all the comics had come out yet. So I think none of that is in the comic book. So whoever's idea it was to include a bazooka in all of this.
Yeah, because that was all Act 3.
Yeah,
it was a very tightly
call.
It was a tightly contained Chekhov's bazooka moment, and it delivered every time. Every time the bazooka came back, it was funny. It was a new thing they were doing with it. It was still funny. And I loved it. And I thought at the jetpack showing up, that was going to be the end of it. And then they brought it back, and that's how they beat the bad guy. And I couldn't have been happier. So now we get in the Marvel Studios films we have here. Starting with Iron Man, we had two different jokes that stood out to us. So you said the first time you saw it.
The very first time I saw it, the movie was obviously very good, even up to this point. But the moment that I knew that this was going to be a great thing, and one that I was going to have to watch multiple times, was when Tony Stark's already back from the Middle East, and he's making his Iron Man suit for realsies, and he's going for his very first flight test. And he's like, all right, like, thrusters at 10%, like, let's try this out. And he's getting loose and getting ready, and there's like, it's all through like a
point of view,
camcorder, and just immediately turns it on, flies right back into like this angled ceiling, just
lands into it,
full body, falls behind some things, and just great. Like that moment, the speed of it that it happens, the build up, the slow build up to it, stuck with me, and it was maybe 4 or 5 viewings until I stopped, like, laughing out loud because I had to at that moment.
I still feel like I did Marvel Madness Day because that was a good start.
Well, yeah, and you're with tons of people who are also going to be laughing at that, like, because it's still funny. But eventually, I got to the point where even when I'm by myself watching it, I'm like, okay, that was funny, I guess.
Pretty good. Yeah, to me, what stood out and probably stood out to most people was the build of the robot arm that he's going to donate to the
dummy.
The dummy. Who just keeps making everything wrong, and then the great payoff when he collapses on the car after his first flight, just the slow pacing of it and the great build of that joke. Everyone left the robot arm, and it sticks around. So
even that, and then it builds to a moment at the end when he doesn't have the thing, and the thing just brings down the.
It's like, hey, is this what you wanted?
Don't hit me again, but
because domestic abuse is funny.
To robots, it is. They don't have feelings.
Great joke from the Incredible Hulk. Let's see Mark Ruffalo pull off this joke. He could. He could pull off this joke. He's sitting there reading a Portuguese phrase.
I'm gonna say this other one first because it's not as funny.
Okay.
When they run out the purple pants.
Yes. Great.
When Liv Tyler comes back with the big purple maternity pants.
He's like, purple? It's like it's the only one big enough. He's like, I'll take my chances of my green junk flying everywhere. Direct quote. But yeah, so early in the film, he's in Brazil, so he's reading this Portuguese phrase book, and he's not quite getting all the words. He's learning the language.
He's like learning through the TV and all.
And then later during the big like military chase, he gets surrounded in the.
It's
earlier. Oh, it's when he's protecting the girl. Yeah, he's protecting the girl because it's still a lighthearted moment.
Yeah.
He's protecting the girl who works at the factory and being surrounded by the 3 bullies.
Yes, guys like come making obscene passes at her.
The old street toughs.
Yeah.
Who are like way too old to be street toughs. And he's just backed up and he's trying to say it in Portuguese and just dead set serious. And he's like, "You won't like me when I'm hungry."
And it's all in subtitles too, which is
which is great. And then he pauses like, "Wait, that's not right."
Yeah.
And just it's so good.
The guy's like looking at him like, "What?"
Which I don't even care that I don't know how close hungry and angry are. It seems like an English-based joke.
Yeah.
But I don't even care because it's just you won't like me when I'm hungry. It's fantastic. Oh man! Oh, Nick Fury and Men in Black and Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2.
Not Men in Black 2. Nick Fury's in there. Just keep looking for it.
Oh, I saw this great thing that implied that Coulson was his son, which is
I don't know.
I did. Really anything Nick Fury does in Iron Man 2.
His first appearance.
Sir,
I'm gonna have to ask you to exit the donut.
Which just, anytime you can say that phrase and it makes sense, kudos to you.
And then I really like when Tony Stark's like, yeah, like, it's like, oh yeah, you gave your friend that suit. He's like, he took it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What? No, he took it? You're Iron Man and he just took it? The little brother walked in there, kicked your ass, and took your suit. Is that possible?
Perfect. And he's like, you're not the biggest thing in my world right now. Things are blowing up in the Southwest Project. I don't have time for this. He's like, get your shit together. I'm busy. He gets some real traction. He's not just a little cameo scene.
Yeah, which is his. Yeah, that'd be his first one where he actually got to do things, because that was the only other thing he'd done before that was the. Let's talk about the Avengers Initiative.
Yeah, and it came back in a great way. It was really satisfying, and it pointed towards the great things to come. Now, Thor, I don't know if this is funny to anyone except for Sam and I. Sam and I love it, so fuck you, Internet. The best joke from Thor is
Kat Dennings.
Kat Dennings mispronouncing Mjolnir.
Meow meow?
Meow.
If you take me there now, I'll tell you everything you wish to know.
Everything?
Yes. All the answers you seek will be yours once I reclaim Mjolnir.
Meow meow? What's meow meow?
Can I have a word, Jane?
And then they read in the book, and she goes, "Oh, that's meow meow.
Hey, it's meow meow." As if she could see it now, and she still thinks it's pronounced meow meow. And I don't care if no one else likes it, because you're all dead inside, but it's fantastic. Captain America, we came with a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of Tommy Lee Jones stuff. They realized all these jokes are predicated on the song. It's all established in the Star Spangled Man song, which is amazing. It sets up all these great jokes.
Colonel Phillips. Well, if it isn't the Star Spangled Man with a plan, what is your plan today?
Yeah, and then the.
You know what you're doing? Yeah. I've knocked that Adolf Hitler over 200 times.
Just all the best jokes in that film built from the song, which I said is so perfect. It almost feels like Alan Menken just wrote this song and then they found it and like,
oh, studios were like, oh, we should make this. Oh, let's make all of the Avengers first. Like, all right, we'll start with Iron Man.
We'll get to this.
The slow build.
Yeah, I love that song. We've talked about it before, so I won't do it again, but I will. You should listen to that and love it. Right, now we have the Avengers. Coming out, on the way out of the parking lot, when we were trying to process how we were going to talk to each other about a movie, as you do after you done with movies, one of the things I realized, I couldn't even say what my favorite joke is. I might be able to narrow it down to my favorite joke for each character. So that's what we've done.
Yep.
We've taken all the major characters and we've narrowed it down to the best joke for each one of those. So we're going to start off with Hawkeye, which for a while we had nothing.
Yeah, I couldn't. I kept saying like, no, he had quips.
Yeah, going off Thor's suggestion, Hawkeye did not appear to be in a gaming mood because he did not have many of the quips like other people did. But then we remembered one. Sam,
I remembered one.
Came forward.
His response to Black Widow.
Black Widow, they're like shoulder to shoulder shooting all these aliens, and Black Widow like almost cheerfully like, hey, it's just like Budapest, right?
Like, you and I have remembered Budapest very differently.
He's like very concerned that she is excited about this and thinks it's like Budapest. So
that was Hawkeye's joke. So it's the best one of his.
It was funny. I chuckled, so good on you, Hawkeye. Because he was mind controlled. You didn't get a chance to do the quips.
Yeah.
Loki wouldn't have people doing quips all the time. Next, we'll go on to Black Widow.
I never really thought about it. Was not terribly quippy either.
No, she had funny stuff, but it wasn't like one-liners. Like it was funny when she did the fake interrogation on Loki and stuff.
Yeah.
So my moment I put down, Sam wanted to give it to the extra, but I'm like, we're not doing the best joke for extras. In the first interrogation with the Russians, when she's on the phone with Coulson, she's like, I'm right in the middle of an interrogation. This idiot's giving me everything. And he's give everything. As if looking around his body's like, right? I not give away anything, right? She's crazy.
You like that moment, and I liked her moment at the end where Iron Man came in like, I'm bringing the party to you guys. I don't see how that's a party.
Giant metal snake.
Which is good for her to say that, because like her and Hawkeye like up against this thing.
Yeah, like what?
Okay, pew pew pew, like ding 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 ding.
Yeah, and you can't keep doing literal jokes like that. You can't do direct response jokes like that too often. I think that might have been the only one in the movie. So someone just pointing out, because it's sort of accidentally bringing the party to you guys. I don't say that's a party. It's a very particular style of joke you can't do too much of. But man, I think they chose the right one.
Yeah,
that hit me pretty well too.
That and I think I don't think it would have worked with anyone but Black Widow, maybe Hawkeye, like I said. But yeah, great, good on them. That was solid.
Coulson, Agent Coulson says Sam's not so secret love. Agent Coulson. So we have two on this. I think we both agree on what's the best. So the best Coulson bit.
We don't want to lead with the best one.
I kind of do. I want people to be disappointed by the second one. Just fuck the people. Okay, yeah. So what I like, and it sort of builds some other stuff and has set up. It's sort of the payoff of the Captain America collectible cards joke before it becomes a serious plot point. Where Black Widow had mentioned it before. She's like, "Has Coulson asked you to sign his collectible cards yet?" He's very proud. The vintage set, and then it just cuts to the middle of this conversation. And Coulson and Captain America first just staying there, and he's like, Coulson goes, "Well, if it wouldn't be too much trouble," and Captain's like, "No, it's all right. It's fine. It's a vintage set. took me forever to collect them, and just the payoff and the innocence of it, which really is everything Coulson's about."
Yeah, he's the best. But his best moment. Not even words.
Not even words. Just pure face.
It's when he's, again, we're going back to the interrogation scene with Black Widow. When she's like, all right, let me put you on hold, and, like, kicks three guys' ass while she's tied to a chair. And then in the middle of this crazy fight scene, you just cut back to Coulson, who's just sitting on the phone.
And, like, damping through the crowd. You can hear, like, the action, the wax and stuff.
Yeah, like all this, and he's just...
Like, not dancing or anything, not natural. Just sort of like what you do if you're standing there waiting, you know. Just bobbing naturally.
Yeah.
This is normal.
Yeah, like man, not concerned, like, oh, I hope she beats these guys. Like, oh, I guess I'll wait the 9 seconds while she kicks these guys' ass.
Like, you're thinking, should I have dinner before I go? Like, I gotta get out to New York, but
probably eat on the plane, but plane food.
I had a late lunch. Do I want to eat yet?
Yeah, just solid.
Stark will probably give me some, right?
Yeah, like solid moment.
Just and it's all face. It's all face and body posture, and just great acting on that. Next we have Agent Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., Commander of S.H.I.E.L.D., Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. We once again gave you the best one, so I'll lead off here since apparently we saved the best for last, like normal people around here. He just had the big confrontation with Loki, the stare down where Loki's trying to be menacing, and he ends with this line like, "You humans will tremble when you see what true power looks like." And then Nick Fury's walking around like, yeah, well, if True Power wants a magazine or something, let me know. He's locked him in this prison, just walking away. He's like, fuck it.
I also kind of like the implication that it would be up to Fury to get Loki a magazine.
That's true. Like, they don't have another... Everyone else is keeping this thing flying. Like, shit. It's complicated. And one guy playing Gallagher.
But then, clearly his best is when he's talking to the shadowy World Security Council. And they're like, well, the council has made a decision. And he's like, I know you've made a decision. But seeing as how it was a stupid-ass decision, I've decided to ignore it.
Just the perfect delivery. And that's exactly what he do. He wasn't, like, goading them. He was just, this is stupid as hell.
Yeah,
I'm going to do what I want. I'm Nick Fury.
Yeah, like Joss Whedon's a funny writer. Pro tip.
Hear good things about the Sam Jackson, too. You should see several of his films. He only has a couple. He's not in that many. Next, we have Loki, the villain right in the middle of the pack. Loki didn't feel like he had that much. He has what I'm pretty sure like two things that could be considered quips that are solely him.
I'll go first on this one.
Okay.
I think yours is a little better.
I think yours is actually a little better. Why are we doing it this way? Because we suck. That's why.
Where him and Thor are up on the rock having a conversation, and Thor's like, now listen, and then Iron Man knocks him away, and he just, I'm listening. Like, knowing that it's just for the audience.
Because at that point, it's not like the Ghost Rider moment where you jump at the camera, and that is just for the audience. That's just for him. That's what Loki does. Loki's sitting there and he's like, "Good one, Loki. I know, right?
Yeah.
Pretty funny of me." Like, that's the sort of character Loki is.
Yeah.
And after the big climactic fight, and all the setup earlier in the film, when Tony Stark's doing his "Why You Suck" speech, he's making a drink to sort of distract Loki while he slips on the bracelets to get the new Iron Man suit, and he offers him a drink a couple times just to spread out the conversation. And then when it cuts to all the Avengers standing over him, he's like, I think I'll have that drink now if that's all right with you. That's still on the table.
Yeah, which good callback on that.
Going from Loki.
Good on Loki to just know when he's defeated.
Yeah.
Like, mainly because Hulk is still standing there and he wants nothing to do with that.
It's like, I'm good try me. We'll just back it up. We'll try again later. Staying with Asgard, we'll go to Thor. Let's do Thor next. I have down is the Thor joke, and I agree with Sam's is the best. This is one where we agree. This is not a butthead moment. But to get a second one, because Thor is also not in a gaming mood, as he says. And he's not a big quipper, but and just because we need to mention this somewhere, the shawarma scene at the end, which is what they filmed at the after the premiere. They took them all the way to film that shawarma scene to tack on at the very end of the credits. And it's super funny, but the reason I put this under Thor is I caught this the first time, and I pointed out to Sam for the next time we saw it. It's just great. Thor is really the only one who is very actively eating. Like, other people are nibbling, and Thor takes several bites while we're watching this and just chews away at it. And then at the very end, like right before it cuts away, he picks it up, and he's going for his mouth, and just, like, a fist size of the sandwich just starts pouring out and, like, falling towards his plate when they cut away. And I'm like, oh, no! How sad! And I'm just like, it's super funny that Thor would try to cram as much food as he would. He would feast and after a battle. That's what they do. Whereas everyone else is like, fuck, today was so long.
But clearly, Thor's best moment is when he's trying fruitlessly to defend Loki's actions to everyone else. Well, he's just like
it's like, how care how you speak? He's still
he's an Asgard citizen, and he is my brother.
Then Black Widow goes, and he killed 87 people in 2 days.
He's adopted?
Just great, very, I mean, I know a bunch of adoption agencies are like, oh, how dare you suggest being adopted is bad. But, like, that's not the point. Just laugh.
The point is he's trying to distance Loki from his family.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, oh shit, maybe.
He's trying to backtrack, and that's what's funny about it. It's not like, haha, people who adopted are soulless monsters.
Yeah.
That's not the joke. The joke is, he was like, hey, he's my brother, cool it. He's like, your brother's terrible. Well, when I say brother. So yeah, there's a lot of response. Okay, Captain America. Good old Cap. Do you want to go me too? They're both pretty good.
I'll go first. You really like yours.
I do really like mine, because I feel like my joke was pitched to me.
Yeah, one of my favorite Cap moments.
During the siege on the helicarrier.
Yeah, siege on the helicarrier. Like, him and Stark have just become quick friends. Like,
put the suit on.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, shit, yeah, you're right. Let's do this. And they're like, all right, let's fix this thing. And Tony Stark's seeing what's wrong and flying around outside it, and he's like, all right. Yeah, he's like, all right, pull this thing out. Captain America's like, all right, follow his instructions. He's like, all right, what do you see? And there's just this like
cables and flashing orange lights, and
it's when you realize that Captain America is still from the 40s, and it appears to be running on some sort of electricity.
And it's great. It's great moment. He's not saying no. He's not going to help. He's like, here's what I can report with accuracy. From there, buddy, I'm from the 40s, and I've been asleep until last week. So
I was hoping it'd be a big lever I could pull,
like buttons say work and don't work.
Yeah,
that's solid.
I really like Stark's response to that. Well, you're not wrong.
Yeah, fair cut. I really like it. I feel like this joke was pitched just at me, and I don't like it because I'm making fun of religious people, which it probably comes across because I argue with fundies online all the time. But Captain America, it's exactly what he would say.
Yeah.
He is the American hero propaganda piece in the World War II. And when they're talking, when Thor and Iron Man go fighting and Loki's out there, he's going to like, well, better go parachute out and go fight these people.
Cap, like that.
It's like these are gods out there fighting. He's like, no people like us doing anything. And he's like, man, there's only one God, and I don't think he dresses like that. And then just takes off,
just jumps out of the plane. Like
I'm like, yeah, he would say there's only one God, and he wouldn't dress like that. And that is, it was pitch perfect. It wasn't like get it.
Yeah, like that's.
It was just a totally natural response, and he's so formal. He called her ma'am, and it was just very nice, and just Chris Evans, I can't applaud you enough. I can't.
Yeah, man, like especially when we were talking earlier about like him and Ben Grimm or the dynamic duo, and I was like, is that the same guy from later?
I can't. Just don't try to do that. Your brain will explode. So yeah, then Tony Stark.
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark.
I'll start with mine.
Yeah. Pretty good from that same.
And again, yeah, Tony Stark has a lot of jokes. Jokes.
So it's hard. It took us a while to narrow down Tony Stark.
But there was a couple I think that like this one really spoke to me, and it was Tony Stark against Thor when they're having their little tiff, and do you know what this is? Like, Shakespeare in the Park. Dost mother know that you are wearing her drapes?
Just the delivery. And watching a man in the Iron Man suit
be all Shakespearean. And maybe that's because we came off doing Shakespeare stuff, but man, that was a good line.
It's because attempted Shakespeare, fake Shakespeare language is funny. Tony Stark's funny. The posing's funny in the costumes in the scenario. Suggesting that Thor's wearing a dress is funny. It all comes together.
And it reminds me that Joss Whedon's coming out with Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah. So I'm really forward to it. I really like, and I think a lot of people like. I went ultimately with after the "Why You Suck" speech that he gives Loki. Loki tries to do the how will they fight me when they're busy fighting you, and then the big sinister music and clink and complete music cut out, and then he looks at it like, oh, must be broken. I'll try again. Cling, cling. It's like this usually works. It's like, well, performance issues, it happens, and like, man,
like 1 in 5.
Tony Stark would make a flaccid penis joke on Loki right then in that moment, like right when his life is in danger, like he is foot from a god who can just just punch him to death.
And I was about to question your call on this, but then I realized that it took me several viewings to even hear most of this scene because people were laughing so hard.
Yeah,
and then including myself, and I'm like, all right, yeah.
You can't hear all the lines because it laughs at the clink, like the music cuts out, like, it doesn't work. And then all the little back and forth, and like the performance issues most people hear, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, well, 1 in 5. He just keeps going with it. He's like, well, here's the word, and here's the analogy I'm going with. I'm going to keep riffing. And he looks totally genuine while doing it. He's not like...
And then, so I didn't think that we would... before seeing Avengers, if you told me, all right, we're gonna put all of everyone's jokes together and we're gonna lead up to the funniest jokes, if you would have told me that we were gonna end with Bruce Banner / Hulk,
no one would have believed you.
I would not have called that.
No.
So my favorite, and it was my favorite for a while until. Well,
to multiple viewings allowed things to be heard.
Yeah, but for a while, my favorite moment was the Hulk and Thor after they're finally teamed up together at the end. They finally taken down one of the big snake things. They're landing in the building, and they're just kind of standing there next to each other, out of breath. And then just out of nowhere, Hulk just punches Thor, sends him flying off.
Flies off screen, and it's just and then he sniffs.
Yeah, they just and it was just this kind of.
He's like, hey, I didn't forget that we were fighting earlier.
Yeah,
everyone else may be teaming up, but I'm still kind of pissed about that.
Yeah, Hulk is the strongest. Like, don't forget that. So, but it was like brotherly, kind of like.
And to be fair, the second I saw it, I was like, well, that's the funniest thing I'll ever see. Nothing, no way anything can top that, right? And then, man, Hulk lands in the top floor of Stark Tower.
Sure does.
Him and Loki. He's charged at him, and Loki's like, stop! So Hulk stops like you do when a villain says that.
Yeah.
And he starts giving his monologue. He gears up and he's like, that is it! I am a god of Asgard, and I will not be treated this way by such a Bart. And then just, in the middle of a speech, like in the middle of a word, just ripped out of frame, and then it cuts out and you see Hulk just smashing the shit out of him like a rag doll. Stops halfway, he's like, not good enough. boom, boom, boom.
That's weird. He should be in pieces. Oh, keep going.
Just crushed in the ground. Loki's just
like,
and as he walks away, he's like, puny god.
Which is a line that I will say with almost near certainty that no one attending a midnight premiere heard.
You couldn't, unless you're dead inside. You wouldn't have heard.
Yeah, unless the whole theater was dead inside.
Because just the second the ragdoll starts, you're just gut laughing, every kind of laughter.
And so so they finally get to that, and it took me, I barely just managed to catch it on my second viewing. And man, yeah, because of the line "puny god," I think really pushed it over for me for being better than the Thor one. But man,
yeah, like I said, when I saw the Thor one, I thought, well, that's the funniest thing I'll ever see.
Yeah, and for a while when I thought it was just that against him beating up Loki, I thought, well, the Thor thing has more backstory to it. I liked that the play between the characters there, so that's why my favorite moment. But then that line happened, and I was like, oh, nope. He called him.
It's that line, along with just the visual of Loki being treated like a ragdoll, on top of the interrupting of the big villain speech.
Yeah,
Hulk wouldn't wait for a villain speech, because when it first happens, you're like, well, of course it happens. That's what happens. The villain gets to make their speech.
Yeah,
and these sort of fights.
And maybe he'll try to turn Hulk, and then
and then when Hulk starts beating Hulk, you're like, that's right. Hulk wouldn't stop and listen to this. Hulk would smash. And that's exactly
Hulk was
what
given one job.
And he's gonna do it, goddammit. He's busy, Loki. He'll listen later.
Well, Cap told me to smash, and I don't want to get in trouble with
Cap.
Cap.
Gee willikers, he's gonna be awful mad if I don't smash. The internal monologue of Hulk. This is a scared dude from the 1970s.
That's it. I don't think I can tell. We've now talked longer than a lot of the movies that we watched.
That's true. We've run longer than a lot of things. I would be shocked. We're going to try to edit this, put some video clips in it. So if they were there, we did it. If not, sorry.
It's not my computer sucks.
We tried. If at this point we're going to have to break it up, obviously. We can't put an hour and 41-minute video on YouTube.
You can.
I wouldn't want to. Let's not do that. That seems a terrible idea. Because I imagine you could split it up in like 1 or 2 topics per video if I make a decent sizable thing. I'm not going to watch this. So fuck, I don't care. So
yeah, you're not going to watch it anyway.
That's true. But
Clayton, enjoy this movie.
Why make him watch it in one point? I think, whatever, I don't care anymore. So that was Marvel Madness. We're pretty much wrapped up. We're going to do some bonus video.
We're going to do a bonus video for Spider-Man.
And then pretty soon, probably definitely before Spider-Man, we will be seeing us for DC Dementia, which Sam can't back out of.
Maybe earlier than this goes up. So,
depending on how much editing you have to do?
Yeah.
Because you want to put the hour and 41?
Yeah, so
at least now this is in the video, unless Sam edits out, which he probably will. So if you just watch an hour and 42 straight in one YouTube video, it is his fault. It is not my fault. And also, I don't care. I don't like most of you.
But yeah, thanks for sticking around. If you actually watched all this.
Yeah, I hope you're looking forward to DC Dementia. I sort of am. Like it's fun to have said you've done these things, but man, it gets exhausting. In the trenches, it gets dangerous. So
yeah,
we're thinking about looking at the list here a little bit after this video. I don't know. We'll see how much steam we have.
Yeah.
But it'll probably go up shockingly soon because I have other things, so we're gonna have to start early.
Yeah, we're gonna start pretty early. I don't think we're gonna do like 3 a days like we were doing before. Yeah, especially because I work most weekends.
Yeah. So, oh Jesus, yeah, we should start soon. All right, so thank you all for joining us from Marvel Madness. We are 2 fat guys, and you just watched our video.
See you.